I want to get a context of what it is that is happening. I want to welcome MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin, also Melissa Redmond, a former Fulton County Deputy District Attorney, and Barbara McQuaid, former U.S. Attorney who is now a law professor at the University of Michigan. Both Melissa and Barbara are MSNBC legal analysts. So, Lisa, take us up to speed on what is happening right now there in this Atlanta courtroom.
So, Jose, to zoom out a little bit, Judge Scott McAfee of the Fulton County Superior Court is hearing a number of motions to dismiss portions or all of the indictment against former President Trump and one of his co-defendants, David Schaefer, who is the chair of the Georgia Republican Party and participated in the convening of what we commonly call the fake electors who tried to submit their votes to Congress and to the National Archives in service of getting President Trump reelected in early 2021. We've already heard argument this morning on former President Trump's motion that all of the allegations against him in the indictment basically reduced to charges against core political speech, that even where the crimes are defined more broadly in terms of, for example, conspiracies to commit forgeries or conspiracies to make false statements, that the allegations against him specifically are about speech acts and are therefore impermissible under the First Amendment. I will tell you that having listened to that argument, Steve Sadow gave it his best efforts, but his argument was, as the district attorneys, Representative Donald Wakeford and John Floyd pointed out, somewhat circular, that speech is protected because speech is protected. And taken to its logical conclusion, some of what Sadow had to say would prohibit what Barb and Melissa both know are common everyday prosecutions in this country under statutes like 18 U.S.C. 1001, which prohibit false statements to government officials like Congress and the FBI. Indeed, some folks in former President Trump's world have been successfully prosecuted under those charges. What we're hearing now is argument on a motion made by David Schaefer. Among other things, he is saying that he can't be charged with impersonating a public officer under Georgia law because presidential electors don't constitute public officers as that term is defined. That's where we are right now. I will tell you, I think Mr. Schaefer's lawyer, Craig Gillen, has an interesting argument there. It's not clear whether a presidential elector would constitute a public officer. As Mr. Gillen has pointed out, a presidential elector comes across our, comes into our lives once every 4 years. They also lack some of the other hallmarks that we typically associate with those who are commonly seen as public officers. And that is what Judge Scott McAfee is entertaining right now as Mr. Gillen continues to argue, Jose.
Melissa, what are your biggest takeaways?
Well, as Lisa mentioned, one of the key things is what is a public officer, as mentioned in the indictment. If the electors are not included in the various definitions that we see in the code of what a public officer is, does that mean that he cannot be charged with impersonating one as listed in the indictment? I suspect the state will come with response that lists how a elector is in fact a public officer. Maybe there's a portion of a statute that's not mentioned or mentioned in case law that would give them the authority to grant someone with this crime. But that is a very interesting argument, a very nuanced argument that I would be interested to see how the state responds to it.
Barbara, give us, if you would, a broader context of the importance of this hearing and the possible outcomes from this hearing vis-a-vis Trump and his co-defendants.
Well, this is a fairly routine stage in most cases. It's where defendants try to dismiss either some or all of the counts against them on legal grounds. If they're successful, that would end the case. It would prevent these charges from going before a jury. And so in some cases, it's fairly rare. Defendants are successful in knocking out some of the counts. We actually saw that earlier this month, where some of the counts about soliciting public officials to violate their oath of office were dismissed for failure to state a claim with sufficient specificity. And so that's the goal here, is to knock out these claims before they go to trial. With regard to this First Amendment argument, though, I'd be very surprised if it is successful. In fact, I think it is so weak that it is more likely to be appealing to the court of public opinion than a genuine expectation that the counts will be dismissed on that basis. As Lisa said, there are plenty of criminal statutes that do impinge upon the right of free speech, but that doesn't mean it violates the First Amendment. I think there's a common misconception among the public that we can say anything we want to say and the First Amendment is absolute. But of course, that's not right. If there's a compelling governmental interest and a limit that is narrowly tailored to achieve that interest, it passes constitutional muster. And so that's why we have crimes that prohibit making threats or communicating fraud or lying to government officials or participating in a conspiracy, which requires speech. All of those things require speech, but they're still illegal because of the overwhelming harm that they do to society.
Lisa Rubin, Melissa Redmond, and Barbara McQuade, thank you so very much for that.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.